Okay, I'm going to read you a passage here that you read before, but you ain't never heard it like this before. I haven't translated it. I'm going to read it to you from the New King James Version, and by the time we're done, you're going to realize you ain't never heard it the way that it's written. You've read it before, just like you've read the whole Bible, maybe many times, but you ain't never heard this before. This is in Ephesians 5, starting in verse 11 to verse 16. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is shameful even to speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light. For whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore he says, awake, you who sleep. Arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Now, some of you heard at least part of it. Some of you actually heard it this time. Some of you are still going, yeah, I've read that. Yeah. Okay, let's walk through it. Verse 11. You know what this is about, right? These verses. What's the subject of these verses? What would you say is the subject of these verses? Light. Light is the subject of these verses. Let's pay attention to what it has to say about light and darkness. Okay? Verse 11. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. There's light. Where there's darkness, it's implicitly referring to light, which is missing. The unfruitful works of darkness is missing light. But rather expose them. Well, how are you going to expose them if you don't have light? Right? And that's what Paul gets into next. So, you're to have, it says, you're to have no fellowship with them. You're not to hold anything in common with them. You're not to be sharing in joy and feelings with them. Togetherness. As brothers, as sisters, as husband and wife. You're not to marry someone like that. Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. So there's the absence of light, out of which is that unfruitful works. And you're supposed to expose those works, which is light. For it is shameful even to speak of those things which are done by them in secret. So the things that are, even if you just tell about what they do in secret, you would be completely ashamed, even to say those things. And you're not even doing them. You're against them. But saying them on your lips, on your mouth, shameful. That's how terrible the things are. But they're in secret. They're hidden. They're in the dark. But all things that are exposed, which are in the light, because they're exposed, right? But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light. So clearly, light is what makes them manifest. For whatever makes manifest is light. Now this is the surprising thing, is that Paul is saying whatever makes those deeds of darkness exposed is light. Whatever. It's not a certain thing. It's a whatever. If you don't agree, then you disagree with the Bible. I just read it to you from here, Ephesians 5. The Bible itself, which we think, oh, well, this is the light, right? And so when we shine this on it, then it exposes it. Well, yes, but not only. Because Paul says whatever exposes it is light. Whatever makes manifest is light. Right there. Clear as day. Yeah? Clear as day. Whatever makes manifest is light. That's the end of verse 13. Therefore, he says, so because of what I just said, it says, therefore, he says, it's God, because God is the subject here. The wrath of God is mentioned in verse 6. And it could be the Spirit, which is mentioned in verse 9. It could be the Lord, which is mentioned in verse 10. Therefore, he says, awake, you who sleep. That's that word that is translated sometimes erroneously as watch. The word is to wake up. Awake, you who sleep. And this word sleep is the word that we get hypnosis from. There are two words for sleep in the Greek. One is like, it's almost like half asleep, we'd say in English, right? Like in some sort of trance almost, right? That's the hypnosis, the hupno. But then you have the coma. Yeah, coma, where we get the word coma from, where it's like they're dead. You can, push them and they're not going to wake up. It's a deep sleep. So this is hupno. This is hypnosis. Awake, you who hypnotically sleep. Arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. You need something to expose the unfruitful deeds of darkness? Wake up. Wake up. Hello. Are you broken? Wake up. Wake up from your hypnotic sleep. You're going around through your day asleep. You're not awake in Christ. Awake from your sleep. Rise from the dead. Awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. Christ gives you the light to expose those unfruitful deeds of darkness. See then, so another therefore, right? So Christ gives you light, then you also walk circumspectly. See then that you walk circumspectly. Let me look that word up here. Very interesting. Well, it does have the word that I thought was there, but it has another word for circumspectly. I thought walk circumspectly was a way of translating peripateo. Peripateo means, peri means all about, and pateo means to walk. So to walk all about. But there's another word here that means exactly straight, or most exact, or most straightest. So you're to walk all about everywhere you go. You are to walk the most straightest, most exact, the straightest, because Christ has given you the light. Now, those of you who say that we don't have to stop sinning or we can't stop sinning, these are the passages that call you a liar. Yeah, a liar. Because it's here in the Bible. Now you say, but it's not there in the English. It's confused in the English, circumspectly. What's circumspectly? That means to after you've done something, look back on it and see if you did it right and if you didn't learn from it, right? Like a process. But that's not what it says in the Greek. It says the most exact. Not looking back and learning from it. It says the most exact, the most straightest. Everywhere, every time, without fail. It's not a process in the Bible, in the Greek. They made it a process in the English in order to fool you, to trick you. Like they could get themselves off the hook from having to stop sinning. And yet it says clearly that because of Christ, because we have woken up from hypnotic sleep, because we've risen from the dead, because Christ gives us that light to expose the unfruitful deeds of darkness, we are to walk the most straightest all about everywhere. And those deeds of darkness, by the way, the unfruitful deeds of darkness, you may have been thinking it's someone else's. What about your own? Christ gives you the light to shine on your own. Paul says, awake to righteousness and sin not. I say this to your shame because some are without the knowledge of God. If you're without the knowledge of God, then where's the light that you have to shine on your own deeds, to see what they really are? To see what they really are, so you can stop that. But when a brother shines the light of Christ on your deeds, and you shirk back, and you justify yourself, or you say, "Oh, I didn't mean that. I didn't do that. Then the light is definitely having its effect. But you need to respond appropriately. Peripateo. Everywhere you walk, from that moment on, everywhere you walk, you've got to walk the most exact, the most straightest. Let the light of Christ shine on you, even if it's from a brother. Let the light of Christ shine on you. If you are waking from a hypnotic sleep and rising from the dead, and Christ is giving you that light, shine it on your own deeds. Because if you judge yourself, then you won't be judged. Paul says this too. If we judged ourselves, we wouldn't be judged. Because if we judge ourselves, then we know what is sin and what isn't, and what we need to stop and what we need to do more of. But if you don't do that, then you will be judged. But if you do that, there's nothing to judge, like to condemn you for. Because you corrected those things by the light of Christ. But you don't have the light of Christ if you're walking about in hypnotic sleep, calling yourself a Christian. So, let's finish it here. See then that you walk circumspectly. See then that you walk all about exactly straight, the straightest. Not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. That word redeeming is a special word. Let me look it up. It's incorrect, as I expected, but it's not far off this time. It is a word that means to go to market from out of. And so it has this idea of buying back time. So redeeming is a metaphor for buying back time. But I wouldn't use that word, because if someone doesn't take it metaphorically, as in the English idiom, then that wouldn't be correct. They would have started to build a theology on it. So buying back the time, because the days are evil. The days are evil? Is that what it really says? Let's see. The days are being worthlessly evil. It's not the moral perversion. Harmfully evil. Because the days are existing as harmfully evil. So there is something harmfully evil in the days. And we need to buy back the time. And it's tied to the light of Christ and those unfruitful deeds of darkness. When you do the unfruitful deeds of darkness, well, unfruitful deeds of darkness, doesn't that have to do with harmful evil? So you have given yourself over to the harmful evil that is in the days. It's tied to those unfruitful deeds of darkness that you do, that you need to stop. If you're going to buy back the time, the way you do that is with the light of Christ, with waking up from the hypnotic sleep that you're walking around in, rising from the dead, letting Christ give you the light to shine on those unfruitful deeds of darkness throughout your day, to stop those, so that you're walking all about in the exact straightest way. Now it's beautiful, isn't it? When you put it all together, looking from the end of it backwards, then it's beautiful. And now you understand. Keep praying for me here in Ukraine. And don't forget, I still need to buy heaters. I still need more donations. We don't have enough. We need you to go to the Lord and ask, what can I give? Even $25, please. Even $25 to help the Ukrainians. The coldest has not hit yet, but it is going to hit. And that's why Putin's holding back on his massive rocket attack, because of the weather pattern. Weather pattern is that it's going to hit in January. So we've got a couple of weeks, but it's the Christmas time. Over here, they celebrate two Christmases, 25th and January 7th. January 7th is the old Gregorian calendar that the Orthodox Church celebrates it under, not just Russian Orthodox, but all the Orthodox. And then the 25th of December, of course, is the Latin churches, which includes the Protestant churches, which came out of it. And so they're trying to celebrate both of those because, well, I mean, you've got a lot of non-Orthodox churches here as well, especially in this part of Ukraine. So pray for us, look and see what you can donate, and donate it now, because it's going to take time to get into the bank account for me to be able to use. And then I've got to, and during this time, I'm trying to finish selecting the right heater. I'm trying to get some information from electricians about what I need in terms of electrical source for it. If I can run it off a car battery and how long, things like this. But as soon as that's done, I've got to pull the trigger. I've got to order those and get them in. I might be able to order them from here in Ukraine. So, but it might be that I have to order them from Europe. But from Europe, it's still not going to be very long, but it's still going to take about a week, maybe 10 days or something like that. So anyway, we got to get it done now. It's already the 12th of December. It's already mid-December. So we've only got a couple more weeks before January hits and the cold temperatures kick in. The coldest temperatures start to kick in. It's hard enough right now. May the Lord bless you as you seek Him with all your heart.